Hello, today I want to talk about female-male ratios and kind of curious to find out what is the current ratio of female-male ratio for Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves. So, I've been using the website of Wikifandom for the Genshin Impact and the Wikifandom for Wuthering Waves, and also official website for Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves as source material for information. Just looking at the general count, whether it's 4-star, limited, or standard characters in each game, the female-male ratio currently is 64 female and 32 male. That's a 2-to-1 female-male ratio for Genshin Impact. Now, given that this game has now been out much longer than Wuthering Waves, it's still interesting to see that the ratio was actually 2-to-1. But when we consider the rarity of the characters, when we're looking at the 4 stars and standard and limited 5 stars, it's actually only when it comes to the standard characters that we have a 3-1 ratio. All the other ones are close to 2-1. If we look at Wuthering Waves for the same information, Wuthering Waves started out with a lot of males in the 1.0 update. If we look at the 2.2 release and the 2 upcoming drip marketed characters in 2.3 for Zani and Chacona, we have a ratio of female-male 23-8. That's about 3-to-1 ratio. And if we look for the rarity, then the 4 stars have 8 female and 3 male. That means that we have a ratio of 2-to-1. Well, it's more 2.5-to-1. For the standard, we have 3 males and 2 females. So that's a 3-to-2 ratio. For the limited, we have 12 female and 3 male. That means that we have a 4-to-1 ratio. So that's a much bigger difference than Genshin. But then let's see what Genshin had. If we include female ratios and male ratios with the 1.0, 1.1 to 1.6, and 2.0 to 2.8 update, then ratio would look like this. We have 14 females, and then on the update 1 to 6, we have 7 females, and then from 2.0 to 2.8, we have 12 females. That means in total 33 females, while males are 7, 5, 5 again, that's 17. That would mean, we have around 2-to-1 ratio there as well. And out of curiosity, I also took a look at what the female-male ratio was for elements, weapons, and regions. I was also curious about how the female-male ratio was when it comes to story quests and companion quests, depending on what game that we are talking about. So I decided to call this character focus quests, since both Genshin and Wuthering Waves use different terms. In Genshin you have story quests, hangouts, tribal chronicles, but in Wuthering Waves you call them companion quests. And some characters are more or less featured in the main quests. So, if a character doesn't have a dedicated companion quest, and if there's enough information to understand more about the character through the main quest, then I'm going to consider it a character-focused quest. For Wuthering Waves, that means we have a total character quest of 15 right now. And total character count is 31. So it's about half the characters that have a story quest. And none of the 4 stars really have any companion quests. For the standard 5 stars, Anqor and Linyang are the 2 standard 5-star characters that got a companion quest. Out of the limited 5-star characters, it's 10 females and 3 males. That means that for the males, it's Brant, Zhang Liao, and Jian. For the females, all the female limited characters have a companion quest. Except Jinxie, her kind of story wasn't in the main quest that came out in 1.1. Shorekeeper got her story told in the main quest from 1.3. Phoebe, she kind of had her own story through an exploration quest, which was about the Alvarado Vault, the underground part of it. And also we got to know her a little more through the quest Old Man and the Whale. As for Shakona, we now know from the anniversary livestream that she's part of the main quest, while Zani gets her own companion quest. And I said Zhang Liao did have a companion quest, which is not true. Zhang Liao had his own event quest that was limited, so I don't know how the game handles those. He had a quest called Tale of Moon Tree Lodge that happened in the 1.2 update. And that's about it when it comes to the companion quests for Wuthering Waves. When it comes to Genshin, it's very interesting because they have several ways to focus on the characters. They do either story quests or Tribal Chronicles quests, which was started with the Natlan. So for the Tribal Chronicles, in Act 3 of each tribal region, we have Mualani was for the people of the springs, Science of the Canopy was Kinich, Children of the Echoes was Shilonan, Flower Feather Clan, Shaska, and Master of the Wind was Sitlali, and finally Collective of Plenty was Veressa. So all of those 5-star characters have gotten their story quests through the Tribal Chronicles. Now, a lot of 4-stars got their own kind of story quest through the Hangouts events. And that is like Kaya, Barbara, Diona, Bennett, Noel, Ningguang, Yanjin, Beidou, Shongyun, Shigano and Heizo, Kuki, Shinobu, Goro, Sayu, Toma, Kave, Laila, Faruzan, and Lynette. All of those characters got their own hangouts. The only 4-star that also have a story quest in addition to the hangout is Kaya. And there's also some other 4-star characters that actually got story quests. It's Amber, Lisa, Razor, Xiangling, and Xingqiu. After that, all other story quests are only 5-star characters. The only 5-star characters that don't have a story quest, as far as I know, is Aloy, Keqing, and Qiqi. Aloy do have a story-focused quest through a limited time event called Aloy's Exploration Journal, but I don't know how much you get to know about her, because it was before I started playing Genshin. Then there is also Shenhe. She is a limited 5-star, but she didn't really have a story quest. She was included in Interlude Act 1, Jade Chamber Rising. And we also have Wanderer with the same thing. He was included in Interlude Act 4 Inversion of Genesis, so he doesn't have a dedicated story quest in itself. So, in total, we have 3 female and 3 male 4-star characters. So that's a 1-to-1, right? We have limited female and limited male 5-star characters, and that's 21 to 14. So that would mean we have a ratio of 1.5 to 1. And then we have the standard characters that have a 4-2. So that's a 2-1. So what I can see here is that, yes, there are more females than males in Genshin Impact, but they still do have 2-to-1 when it comes to the overall ratio. Wuthering Waves started out very well with almost a 2-to-1. It was a 10-to-6, so let's see, 1.6 to 1 ratio. So my conclusion for Wuthering Waves is that they started out with a pretty balanced female-male ratio, but ended up with a ratio of 3-to-1. That's less male per females than Genshin Impact. What I would like is that this number doesn't get worse, so we'll end up like 4-to-1 or 5-to-1. It would be nice if we could still remain between 3-to-1 and 2-to-1 at best. Because as much as I like female characters, I do also like male characters a lot. And it would be nice to see more variety in characters by having more male characters in the game. I'll include the source data at the end of the video so you can take a look if you want to see more in depth of the numbers I've gotten. And that's it. Thank you for watching.